It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. This podcast is hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the sport of bowling. You will get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this generation, who just happens to be the son of a living legend. So, without further ado, let's introduce you to the host of the show, Rad Rob Francois, Dr. Ocho, and the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am Rad Rob Francois, joined by my co-host, the man with the golden mask. Can't wait until he gets back into his fall league because, man, does he miss getting on the lanes and bowling. It is the resident doctor of Straight Up 5, Dr. Ocho. Good evening, sir.
When I got the link, it said that you're the owner of all these networks and everything. Like, I didn't know you owned
just one.
Your owner, operator, CEO, COO, CFO, AMO, and a freaky D out of Punky B and letter. What do you see? It's Cosmo D. Yeah, baby, that's me. Is that you? Is that like? Am I really in greatness like that?
Yes, you are, and you have been for a long time.
I had no idea. I only saw the tagline on the stream just now. And then we were talking about Johnny Petraglia Jr. here, who's coming up. Don't get me wrong. He just happens to be, like, as if, like, by chance that, you know, he didn't realize it. We did this show, and then we're like, holy shit. Now, I might say that because I didn't know who the hell Johnny Petraglia Sr. was.
True.
At one point. But, like, he just happens to be. Who does this freaking intro shit?
Someone who I no longer speak to, and I told you guys
do that to a lot of people. By the way, I've noticed that like a lot of acquaintances of yours no longer speak to you.
It's very hard to keep up a relationship with me. Just ask my wife. But no, I am working on a new open. Don't worry about it. It'll get done here in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So it's coming.
I mean, he just happens to be a guy who may do a good signature opening for you, or he may happen to not be.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Joining us is the third man. His name is on the marquee. He's the one that everybody wants to see. He's number 12 on the program, but he's number 1 in your hearts. It is the one and only Johnny Petraglia Jr. Good evening, sir.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure. How are we doing tonight?
Doing well.
What does that even mean? What does that even mean? What? He's number 12 in your program. What did you finish?
I'm not like, are there 11 more marquee players on your other shows?
Yeah, like if he's unfettered, how is he not number 1 and then number 1 in your hearts also?
He's number 12, like on a football team, like Tom Brady.
But he's not, though.
Oh, well, if that's the way you mean it, then, you know, by all means, carry on.
Yeah.
But he's not, though.
Shut the fuck up, Ocho.
I guess we'll get to that tournament later. Never mind.
Well, yeah, no, that's fair. No, I mean, when it comes to bowling, maybe. Maybe he's 0-0 right now. But no, we kid.
Adam Ottavino in your program and number
much
1
better.
in your hearts.
We kid because we care.
That's terrible.
Welcome.
Oh, how about best games by Keegan Tasker?
268, 242. Very nice, Keegan.
Poem, my friend. Very, very nice.
What's up, Keegan? We got Dan Babcock in the house. It was nice to meet you Sunday at Chaco's.
Dan, pleasure meeting you as well. Looking forward to coming back for the next one. Thank you very much.
Said cock.
Emerald Sin is watching on our YouTube channel, which not many people know about. But it's Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. on YouTube as well. Streaming
How
live.
is it spelt?
Straight Up 5 with the number 5.
It lives.
Asshole. Jan Long, or sorry, Jan, Jesus Christ. Ian, I'm sorry.
The true guns.
I read it quickly, Ouch. Fuck. All right. Anyway, everybody, welcome here. We're 33 strong here in on Facebook and on YouTube.
We're too strong right here.
We have
we got 33 followers.
Strong,
4 strong, and then we'll be the Pied Pipers. Let the 33 follow.
That's fair.
Tilt this screen.
That's fair.
Real quick, this is my, what's today? Wednesday?
I think
this is my second to last night. My sister sold her home. So hence the echoing in the house. I
was actually going to ask you if there was a reverb or an echo because of their lack of furniture.
Well, yeah,
now it's a swinging bachelor pad.
I am sitting in the kitchen at a dining room table on Jamie's huge, awesome computer screen that she left for me specifically for tonight. So,
well, that was nice of her.
So I'm in a good spot. Just me, the dog, and the cat.
Troy Lint's also in the house. David Picow, fresh off golf with the legend Dad. That's awesome.
Yes, had a beautiful round today with our good friend JD Santa Lucia. My buddy Tad Jones and Dad took the trek up to East Brunswick to play with us tonight, or today, I should say. So it was an awesome day. I actually played the second best round of my life. No joke. I shot 81 today.
Wow, good job.
And Dad shot 90. JD also shot 81, and I think Tad shot maybe 92 or 3. So it was just a nice, fun afternoon. Dad was happy, made it through the 95-degree heat here in July, and
it was a scorcher a little bit today. I mean, it had a little bit of a breeze, but it was like standing in front of a hairdryer a little bit at one point. So good on you to break it through, man.
Troy's still waiting for the phone call, man.
Troy, come on. I'm going to show you the message from Andy Nyer that says, "Are we playing golf today?" This was a few weeks ago. And then he says, "Trying to coordinate with Troy Lynn. So with all due respect, sir, call me because I'll play golf with you any day of the week."
Matt Ogle, first timer. This is fucking great. Went to college for a very short time with Johnny P. Welcome, Matt.
Not for nothing. Matt's always, I've always admired Matt, and anybody that knows bowling knows who Matt Ogle is. And, bro, it's great to see you, hear from you. Glad to see you on the show tonight, and pleasure watching you bowl at the league this year, homie. And I can't wait to see what you do this coming season, man. Looking forward to it. Thanks for being here.
So we have a lot of topics to cover today. The headline was string pins, because it's something I'd never heard of. And Belmo had posted on his page that he showed someone throw a strike, and about 4 seconds later, the 10-pin fell down. And there was nothing else around.
Solidifies my point even more. That's all.
No wood, no nothing.
Red wiffle bats getting bigger. The big bats now the size of a freaking bowling lane, for God's sake.
We're also going to be talking about Norm Duke, his final appearance in the PBA, which was part of the PBA League. And we're also going to talk about the clusterfuck of the Pederson Classic that happened this past weekend as well. So let's jump on to first, guys. Let's talk about the string theory. I had never heard of this, Johnny, until I actually saw the video that Belmo posted. So what is string bowling or string pins? What's the logic behind it?
The logic itself, where it came from, I would assume less moving parts, cheaper for the proprietors. Excuse me, everything along those lines. But string pins themselves are much easier to maintain, and other than that, I mean, I would assume they're more cost efficient for any proprietor in any center, whether it be a mom and pop shop or a top one. What's up, Jerry Mars? Great seeing you. String setters are garbage. So ironically that you just popped that one up, I'm helping out at the Bones Elite training facility at Rev Rates while I'm home for whatever duration that is, and right. I walked in to work my first shift 2 days ago. And the first person I see when I walk in is Simonson. I see Anthony because him and Matt Russo had driven down from Maine because they don't have to be there for the next few days. And Anthony, in the Rev Rates training facility inside Howell Lanes in Howell, New Jersey, lane 5 of the 5-lane facility are string pinsetters. Mm-hmm. And Anthony jumped on lane 5 and was legit trying to figure out the way to carom the string the proper way when he would set up a 710 to see how to sling it across the deck. Okay. And the two things I noticed, other than Anthony making the 710 look feasibly easy to make, the second thing that I saw was it's so crazy to hear. They sound like a bomb hit them, but then there's no machine moving to send the ball back or re-rack the spares or anything like that. But going back to your initial question, sorry, I'm off topic there, but had to bring up Simo because that's my homie, and it's awesome to see him in New Jersey and not Vegas. Belmo's argument was the fact that And on that video that everybody saw on Facebook, YouTube, wherever else, was the bowler left a 10-pin, and it was in a competition, and the 10-pin fell very late because one of the strings actually drug the 10-pin off of the deck. We also saw this happen with the 36910, I believe, in an Olympic event simultaneously. And Belmo's care and question about the entire thing was, I'm all for string pins. However, can we ever use these in actual tournament competition? It may be beneficial for the proprietors and the bowling centers, but are they going to ever be used and considered usable at tournament competition? And like Jerry just said, me personally, I'm a bowler. No, I don't think they have any.
Why not have a 2-second thing from when the pins hit, or 1/1000, 2/1000, boom? Whatever happens after gets reset, or is that still not legit?
You know what it is, Ocho?
Like a shot clock, you know what I mean? Basketball, if it goes in, right?
Hi, Tammy. I am doing bowling lessons. You will most likely see me at the regional. I'm not sure if I'm going to bowl. I am so out of bowling shape right now that, like, legit, I'm tired of throwing it so well and missing every spare I shoot at. And right now I need to go spend a couple hours in that facility and shoot them. Och, I'm sorry. Back to your question. I missed it completely.
It was it was a time clock. Like, what does it take for the arm to come down? 2 seconds, a half second and a half, something like that?
The arm on a string pin setter doesn't actually come down.
No, on a regular thing. Like, try to make it comparable. Like, when it's pin setters, like the thing comes down as the bowling ball comes in. Or no, head. No, not the arm thing. How about the head?
The sweep.
The
whatever.
Sweep. The sweep itself doesn't actually come down the way it does on a traditional bowling pin setter. It doesn't come all the way down. There's just almost like this flap that you would see on the back of, say, a souped-up Honda Civic in 1998. It kind of just flips halfway down so you could still see the bottom ass of the pins. Humberto, my homie Vasquez, senor, how are you? What about that split that the front pin wasn't even touched and it still went? That's what we're talking about right now is I don't know about the timing, Och. I don't know.
Oh, so there's fruity carry is what's going on. It's not just that it took.
It's very hard. It's very hard to. It's hard to throw a messenger. It's and then pins will randomly fall because the strings probably I would say are I don't know anywhere from 10 to 12 inches above the actual pin itself. So like for instance, when Anthony was trying to shoot the 10 pin, he was trying to carom the 10 pin off the right sideboard and see if he could whip the string around that either the string or the pin could catch the 7 pin. See what I'm getting at?
How do these strings catch the pins? How do they like? Are they like?
There's actual pulleys. Again, I have no idea what the correct terms are.
Because I figured like the strings were like attached like at an amusement park at all times, where you just throw it and like. Because now I'm like that's really cheesy because you're never going to get a messenger because the string resistance will never let it go across. But Rob, obviously that's not the case.
Post what Jerry just said. I didn't even know that guy. What is it? You go.
If the string moves at the top of the machine, it detects it as fallen.
I didn't know that at all.
That's fucked up. Yeah.
Like at all until he said that.
So
I didn't know that.
The picture I used for this episode to promote it was a picture from Kegel. So it's like they're using it there at their facility. I don't know if it's every lane or if it's, a certain lane or, but that's
it can't be every lane, not at the training facility
right,
in a way.
Right. So
they may have 1 or 2 dummy lanes there.
Maybe they're testing it to see if it's,
It might be.
Yeah.
It might be. But there's no way in a facility that is built and was catered specifically to breed the next generation of Hall of Famers. They're not going to fill that place with string pins. I mean, look at the comments from bowlers right now.
Yeah.
It's, again, recreationally, fine. And the other thing that somebody brought up, and what I've noticed at Rev Rates also, is the string pins don't always get pulled back into their slots. In other words, when the frame itself is over, let's say Rob throws a strike, and all those pins are, some are on the deck and some are in the pit, those pins don't always get sucked up back into their holes, for lack of a better word. They don't go back into their chutes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes 5, 6, 7, even 10 times to get the pins to go back where they are. Imagine doing that in a tournament and you're 2 pairs over and on both sides you just hear clunk, clunk, clunk every 2 seconds trying to aim. I'm assuming, just like everything else with evolution, they will figure it out. Get up all hit. Come on. I love you and I miss you so much, Chris. You're the best. I love you, man.
Keegan is excited for the Special Olympics National Games in Tasmania this October. Where the fuck is Tasmania? Is that outside of Australia? Anybody?
It's 8:43, by the way.
Ocho, you're a doctor. You should know.
All right, let's see. Tasmania, where are you? I'm searching right now. Is anybody else even looking? It's an Australian state.
See, that's what I thought. See?
It's an island state of Australia.
You like that shit, Oach? Right off the top of the bean there, motherfucker.
I don't know anything about a tournament there.
Coach from Cheers was trying to study for the test that Sam was, and he starts singing about Albania, and he goes, Albania, Albania, you border on the Adriatic. Nobody remembers Cheers?
I mean, I do, but not that specifically.
I remember sometimes you want to go where everyone knows your name.
That's true. And actually, when you said go in your hole, I really wanted to go, son of a bitch, Paul, that's your home.
You're too good for your home.
For your home. Answer me.
Feel the flow happy. Feel it. It's like a carousel. You pay the quarter, you get on the horse, and
it goes up and down and around with the music.
Circular. The flow. I know that one.
All good things.
What's our next topic? Because we're definitely off bowling now.
Our next topic is Norm Duke and the love.
What did we decide? String pins suck, right?
No, everybody. It's official.
They're too new, and in my eyes, they're too new to suck. They may help proprietors, and I'm all about proprietors for the benefit of actually growing the sport.
Oh, this is a new thing.
At the competitive level, get the fuck out.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen at a competitive level at all. But that's what Belmo was worried about, and you never know. We've seen some strange things in bowling, and.
USBC is probably all over it. Going,
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Next year they're gonna say, you know what? A day before the tournament, they're gonna say, we can't use this facility. They don't have string pins.
No, what they're gonna say is half the pins have to be string pins and half have to be machine pickup
in the same rack, and they have to figure out a way to merge the two machines.
Okay, hold on. Umberto says the main reason bowling is not in the Olympics, allegedly, is because luck can't be involved in a sport. A.K.a. Brooklyn Strikes, etc. The same guys that say that implemented string pins, it doesn't make sense. Ocho, we had this conversation several weeks back about luck or skill and sport and all that. Does that make sense, Johnny? Like, it can't be in the Olympics?
Sport, the biggest thing when it comes to bowling for the Olympics is simply this. Every sport in the Olympics does not favor a specific person.
Okay.
In other words, everybody has an equal playing field against the exact same elements in every single sport in the Olympics.
Did you see the Dream Team in like 1989 or whatever, 1992?
No, 92 was the.
They are all on the same court with the same ball.
Okay.
And there is no advantage.
That does make sense. And that's where, so then golf is
curling.
Also the issue too.
Exactly. So with bowling,
I love curling.
Not only do you have left-handers and right-handers, which automatically eliminates our chances unless you separate the divisions, you also have variables like oil, drill patterns, two-handers, one-handers, all this other shit.
I see what you mean.
There's too many different things. What does it say here?
What about the basketball and the ball bouncing on the rim? That doesn't count as luck. So what if you got... What if you made everybody use these specifically drilled balls, just like they use specific balls for football and basketball?
Right, exactly.
Drill the same.
You'd still have to separate lefties and righties when it comes to the Olympics. You couldn't put them together. And now with two-handers, I don't even know if they would consider a two-hander belongs in either of those categories.
No, they could do that then. They could have four categories, right?
Technically, they're still throwing the ball with one. They're releasing the ball with one hand. That two-handed argument is bullshit to me.
Yeah, but honestly, because you guys have to remember, my dad is a historian. He loves the Olympics more than anything in the world. I mean, along with Fred Borden and Jerry Edwards and everybody that's been trying to get bowling in the Olympics for God knows how many years.
Oh, I know, yeah. I remember Schenkel talking about it in the late 90s or late 80s. I mean, yeah, they were working on it. They were close to it.
But that really does make sense, though. It really does make sense. Why? Because I don't know that it's the Brooklyn strike that is the issue, because the best bowler still look at the bowling tour, the best bowler still wins. It's the variables. It's those variables that Mother Nature should control rather than I guess, the bowling alley. Even the ice and curling is still specified to be only 2 inches thick or 1.5 inches or something. It's a hockey
Exactly.
rink, and they have to follow certain specs.
Well, then you follow the specs of the oil pattern and all that shit.
But again, still now you'd have to. So then he's right. You'd have to have your right-handers. Find out who the gold medal winner is. You have your left-handers. Then you have your two-handers, righty and lefty. So, and you'd almost have to, and honestly, you'd almost have to say a Brooklyn strike is negated. I don't think you should, but if they're looking for, like archery, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a bullseye. Bowling, you're hitting your bullseye. It's the 1-3 pocket or the 1-2 pocket.
But they all use the same bow. They all use bows with the same arrows.
Right. And that's the other thing.
At the same target with nothing impeding it.
No, my point was you can only shoot a bullseye. In bowling, if you're a righty and you cross, you'll hit your bullseye technically.
Yeah, but like in hockey, you can get a shitty bounce off your teammate's fucking calf and it goes in the goal too. Like there's you can't I wouldn't.
But that's a full on spectator sport. That's in the Big Four though too. I mean, because still the best team is most likely going to win.
In other words, every competitor that goes down the giant slalom has to beat the same hill when it comes to skiing. Right. Everybody that hops in the pool has to do the breaststroke. They have to do the butterfly, right? Yep. Everybody has to swim the exact same length. Everybody that throws the javelin is getting measured on how far they throw it. Everybody that tosses a shot put, they all get measured on the exact same thing.
But they could all have different styles, Johnny, and different releases and stuff like that.
Totally.
Your example in hockey would be as if it was always shootout style, but it's not. It's a 5-on-5, and that's where the difference is. Because that the breaks happen. Baseball, a guy could drop a ball. I mean,
whether there's an advantage or not, right to left or left to right, there will always be an advantage for someone. So, like, no matter how hard the lanes are at any tournament you go to, there's always one guy that averages a little bit higher or a lot higher than the guy that's in second. That guy maybe bowled better than the other 85 guys that bowled that week, but he also matched up to the variables in front of him better than anybody else. He had the right ball. He had the right bottom of his shoe on his slide foot. He was on the right side of the lane. The oil
and folks,
on
once
the
again, that just proves my point because I said months ago that it's a skill and not a sport.
But again,
and Johnny Petraglia admits it right there.
We're only talking about why it's not in the Olympics. We're trying to compare it to Olympic sports. I still think it's a sport. You're the dick that thinks
you can think whatever the hell you want. The reality is
even
a little
bigger.
Different.
Red
you should be
bat.
in Stranger Things or something. You should be in the Upside Down world bowling. Maybe then it'll be a sport.
I'm a huge Will Byers fan.
Yes,
so please.
So good.
Shut up.
Awesome.
I am so far behind, dude.
Chewy.
I'm in season 2.
Punch it, Chewy.
Dude.
Do not
get on it.
Yeah, you better
just please get on it.
Yeah.
We have to talk about this stuff, man.
No, we do. We need to do We need to do like a review show. All right, Johnny, let me ask you this. In typical bowling, they obviously switch lanes. So say you do have a lefty against a righty. Have the lefty bowl on one lane and the righty bowls on the other, and they never switch lanes. And after each game, you re-oil the lanes back to the same specs.
After each frame, I feel like you'd have to re-oil it up.
No, because
like in order to repeat, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
The playing field changes with every single toss that's thrown.
It does.
On the lane.
Correct. No, you're right about that. Yeah.
I guess you could say the same thing is true for people going down the hill and skiing.
Or ice. I mean, they use the same Zamboni between periods, but the ice breaks down in 20 minutes.
I would rather ride on Apollo Anton Ono's grooves rather than a fresh surface on ice.
Right.
Totally guarantee it.
Yeah.
But
I'd rather ride on Apollo Creed's.
But imagine the second best skater in the world had a different set of skates to combat that groove that Ono made, and the other guy next to him doesn't. So that's where I think they have to try and figure out how to manage the variables in bowling, simply because there's so many.
No, I get it.
It's one or
Rob,
two.
Are there really no comments here? Seriously? Are you doing a bad job of hosting again?
No, people are enthralled in our conversation. I don't fucking know.
It's a good combo.
Sure. But nobody's commenting.
It's also it's a tricky combo. It's a tricky combo.
It is.
Because everybody that bowls wants it in the Olympics. And
sure.
especially now because there's half the shit that's in the Olympics now. Jesus Christ!
Now I'll go to bat for you guys. There isn't half the shit that is a sport anymore. Like apparently you can like knit a sweater and you're in the Olympics or something. But
no, it's true. There are some sports that shouldn't be in the Olympics, like shooting. You could just
leave it.
You can do that outside your house.
Leave this up here because this actually makes perfect sense. The weird hits, the ones are not fair. Like, in other words, if you're aiming at the center of the bullseye and you execute a perfect archery shot, it's going to hit the middle of the bullseye. It's not going to hit a bird mid-flight and bounce off and give you a blue hit rather than a red hit.
But wind wind can take it too.
All right.
But no, fine. But again, it's still, even with the velocity that these and the distance
bowling,
that they shoot from.
You can execute that same perfect archery shot in bowling. And you could stone an 8-pin or a 9-pin.
True.
Or you can set a messenger in front of, I'm burping right now. You can set a messenger in front of a 7-pin or a 10-pin. You can leave a blower 7-10 and have 8-1 for the frame on that perfectly executed shot. Which any bowler in the back will say, well, no, you got faster. Your hand, it's fine. In the grand scheme of things, it was actually a pretty good shot, right? I hate when people do that, dude.
You were just finally unfettered. And again, once again, Johnny Petraglia Jr. has proven the Ocho's point.
Control. Seems the whole world is out to get you.
So, I mean, that's fair. You still don't think there's some way that they can work it out, some way they can try to lessen the different variants and all that variables. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I know.
They've been trying for so long. I mean, it's made it into the Pan Am Games. I mean, it's made it all over the world. I mean, we have Team USA competing across the globe.
Yeah.
And they've been trying to get bowling into the Olympics for God knows how long. And I truly, honestly hope that they do. Again, you know me, dude. I always try and analyze both sides of the coin. And that one, compared to what is considered an Olympic event, I understand why we're not.
So next week,
why we're not.
No, sir. Next week, I'm going to make a list of all the fucking summer games and winter games, and we'll decide which ones are fucking bullshit and shouldn't be in there and should be replaced by bowling.
Definitely.
All right. Norm Duke. Everybody loves old Norm. Nobody ever had a bad thing to ever say about him. He's always been a class individual and a great representative of the sport of bowling. Threw his final shot this past weekend at the PBA League with all of his friends and teammates and peers around him, just celebrating and hugging him. And, it was a great moment to see. He has said that he's not going to go back and bowl again. He doesn't want to do the PBA 50 or the senior tour. And he's done. He's done with professional bowling. Do you see him sticking to that? And if so, what do you see him doing in the future? Do you see him being an ambassador for the sport? Working, to develop lanes or balls or training, or what do you think Norm's going to do? Or is he just going to relax?
I don't think Norm will be gone from the sport forever. He may not ever bowl a PBA tournament again, a senior tour event. He may bowl a local league here and there. But if he's saying he's done, I think that Norm, as wonderful as a human as he is and a bowler as he is, he's also a showman. And I think that Norm knows exactly how to set the tone of his audience. So I think that Norm set himself up perfectly to, if he wants to do appearances, lessons, all that stuff, he can. Hey, JB, how are you, homie? I miss Moorhead State, bro. Let's go. Bud Stevens, Norm, always a friend. Carolier on tour, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Norm is positioning himself to continue himself while still enjoying himself, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
A lot of selves.
That does make sense.
It's going to be awfully empty without the word self in it, but hey.
But let's be honest, guys. He won the Cleveland Open in 1983 at 18 years old.
Yeah.
He is...
So I was thinking, literally,
honestly,
how many balls do you think he's thrown on the PBA tour? Not even practice. Like, how many shots? I know it's
tens of thousands, probably.
Quick math. Average 30 tournaments a year by 40 games for 40 years.
Half of them are strikes, so you got to take half the shots out, and then
we'll start there. No, he does not, Frank. Not on my show, but thank you anyway.
Frank Tessa says Rob needs to stop effing everything. Yeah, tell my wife.
Rob.
He doesn't. But anyway,
Scott Robertson, love from Australia.
Norm is gonna ride out whatever wave he wants to ride out at this point, and he's absolutely earned it. He has performed. I mean, when the Lumberjacks let him throw that last ball, dude, everybody should have bet on Norm dead packing that last shot.
And he did, which was fantastic. Like, what better way to end it, right?
I feel like he dreamt about it the previous night. Right. I really, really do. I really do. And fuck the USBC, by the way.
Yeah, fuck them.
That was for you, Rad Rob.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, I think
did they do something to Norm too, or was it just like that could be our tagline too?
Just backing up my homie real quick.
I got you.
But no, what bad thing can you say about Norm? Every city he goes to, he attracts every fan. He is pleasant. He's fun. He's a showman. He's a gentleman on television. He's a shark when he's on TV.
Yeah, he's beating Earl Anthony.
He's beating Earl Anthony. He's
beating everybody, really.
He's beating everybody.
Yeah.
The guy's only gained 3 pounds since he was 18 also. He lost that 3 pounds too. Jesus.
Yeah, right around that 125 or whatever he's been for the last 30 years.
Umberto says Norm will have a very successful retirement with clinics and appearances. I mean, yeah, it's hard. Look, your dad can attest to this, and, you know, it's hard to get bowling out of your blood, right? You've been doing it for so long. As with any sport, you know, that you've dedicated your life to for 40 years.
Well, it's not that he did it. It was his life. Like, that's his career. It's like an electrician, you know, gets a watch, says, hey, here we go. And, you know, you've been doing it for 50 years. And then you sit in your easy chair and watch old reruns of freaking, you know, Jeffersons or something. But
I can't imagine sitting in my house like, oh, man, I really wish I could go fucking rewire something.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. There you go. You took it, because we're not going to sit there and go, oh, I miss the days of running harnesses and almost electrocuting myself. No, it's like, man, that freaking, because that's the part that doesn't leave. It's that freaking, that what we said about champions, man, they're a different breed, and that's why they win, and they have a different mindset.
What's up, Derek?
What's up, Derek?
And how do you pull that back? How do you, like, Norm's going to sit in an easy chair, watch the Jeffersons? No, he's going to be like, damn, dude, I need something to quench my bloodthirst right now.
Well, that's the same thing with Dad. Like, my dad, you know, truth be told, I mean, as good as he still is, his body doesn't operate as it used to.
Right.
But my dad, I mean, now that I've been home for a little bit over a month, I watch my dad get up, take a shower, and the first thing he wants to do is go to Howell Lanes to see what juniors are there bowling, because he wants to give them tips. He may not even be bowling, but, you know, his heart and his brain bring him to the bowling alley. You know, that's why what Umberto said makes so much sense, because Norm will always have a place with clinics, trade shows, trick shots, you know, guest appearances, commentating. He's a wonderful commentator. He has built enough of a legacy through throwing the bowling ball that he's reached a point that he's like, you know what? I don't have to throw a bowling ball anymore. I can use that bowling ball and what I did with it to continue my life and stay in the life that I love. I think that's why he did it. And I'm not old yet, but that's starting to happen to me. Like, I'm not.
It makes perfect sense, man. Totally. It literally makes perfect sense. It's like having your cake and eating it too. I mean, he wants that shot in the 10th, but he can still live that shot in the 10th, really, you know?
Absolutely.
What better way? If I was in his position, I would be helping the youth as well, you know, try to train them to get to where who better to learn from than pro bowlers, right? And that's why they always had local pros at bowling centers. We talked about that last week, but you know, he could design bowling balls. I mean, he could design, you know, a new oil pattern or something. Like, he's got so much knowledge in his brain.
And I feel like he'd be the mental guru. I feel like, because he's crossed over.
Him and Walter Ray.
Think about it, like you know, JP. You talked about Pete, Walter, Norm, Parker, adaptation.
Yeah.
These guys are still guys that can floor it whenever they need to.
Yep.
In the conditions that have changed over 4 different decades. And it's like, what a wealth of freaking mental knowledge that you can blast from these guys, or from Norm in particular. I mean, that's invaluable to somebody.
You know, I was a guest on the Bone and Zano Zone last night, and we had brought this up. We were talking about how Norm Duke won Player of the Year in 1994. He won 5 titles. He won the AC Delco, the Choice Hotels, the General Tire, the Johnny Petraglia Open. Finished second at the True Value, and I'm missing one. Anyway, That year, Norm Duke showed up with a beard, and he showed up hooking the ball, like hooking the whole lane. Anybody that's ever watched any of those shows from vintage Norm Duke 1994 throwing beasts, ultimate weapons, and all these other bowling balls just curving the whole lane, just sitting on it, getting under it. Everything he talks about in his next level video, pushing that ball to the left, letting that swing figure eight, getting under it. Before that, I mean, half the interviews that year on ABC, when he'd be doing the sideline interviews, Norm would be saying, I didn't always have to hook the ball, but here lately you have to. He would say that in every interview. So as if to say in 1993, Norm was like, okay, shit, I got to learn how to throw it. I got to learn how to hook it next year. I'll take the 2 or 3 months we have off, and I'm just going to come out and smoke them next year.
Right.
And then now we see later Norm Duke winning back-to-back-to-back majors, playing it up the first arrow, up the second arrow, and then on the 40-foot flat U.S. Open pattern where you just have to make perfect shots every shot. He went from bounce this way, bounce that way, bounce this way, and never seemingly had an issue with that transition.
I'm going to reach with this a little bit, but right. I figure it's almost like, you know how Mariano, when he got that cutter, you knew it was coming and nobody could hit it.
Yeah.
I liken it to, now it didn't happen, I liken it to as if they figured out the cutter. Now Mariano's got to throw a slider, and he's literally has to adapt to the conditions, the players that are now defeating him or not making him the champion anymore. He's now got to throw a different pitch, and it's like Norm Duke had to throw a different pitch to combat the conditions that were placed in front of him. And that's what that makes it a sport. I'll give him.
Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux had that one stint, that 1 year in the mid to late 90s where the coaches noticed that he would flex his glove one extra time when he would switch hand positions to a changeup.
To a circle change. Whenever he threw a circle change, and that was the only time he telegraphed when a pitch was coming.
Exactly, and they smoked him. You couldn't have made a better comparison.
He made 4 Cy Youngs in a row, then had a shit year, and then he was a top 5 Cy Young.
Totally.
But yeah, there's tells, and you have to figure it out. And anyways,
miss you, my friend. Thank you so much. Love all your comments. Please keep tuning in and make sure you like and subscribe.
Good time.
Get him on Twitter too, man.
Rad,
Twitter.
Rob, do you think you can pronounce that name?
No, absolutely not. You can help me out with that if you want.
I think Qbert. Remember the video game Qbert? I think that's what his name is. Remember when you
I think
die in Qbert? That's what it sounds like.
I think it's even bigger red wiffle bat.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
What's JP's what's his Twitter? I forgot. I thought you were going to tell me.
At JPJR07. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. For those listening on the audio podcast that can't see what's on our screen right now, it's at
on the screen.
It's at JPJR07 on Twitter. I am at Rad Rob Gaming, and Ocho, who never goes on Twitter. You can still follow him anyway. He won't follow you back, but it's at the DR Ocho.
I check my DMs because there's so many ladies in the DMs hitting me up, so I always check the DMs, ladies.
Johnny,
you're missing Nicole Neff tonight, just letting you know.
Where's Nicole? Well, Nicole, she's fine. She'll be in here, don't you worry.
Nicole Neff, Ocho's very upset.
And Emil's not here either. Emil, whatever the fuck his name is.
If more
That's
people
Emil. That's the bear.
Emerald, yeah.
No, it's not Emerald. He's making fun of the bear now, dude. He's making fun of Emil. Jeez, come on.
Dan Benevit says
Emil can throw the bowling ball. That's for sure.
I love Emil. Oh shit, she's here. She just didn't want to say hey Ocho. See, Nicole's here. Hello, Nicole.
Now your day's made.
She's here.
My fans aren't here.
I remember that day. He legit, because Norm doesn't shave the fingers or the thumb at all. He just works it out.
Yeah.
He legit picked up a Storm Spitfire. I will never forget it. And he laid it in legit put it in his hand, and he tipped, and he goes, it's got a quarter too much side. Drill another one. What Dan is saying right now really happened on the PBA truck at Carolier.
Wow.
It did happen.
That's amazing.
That actually happened. That's unreal. And no, I'm sorry. I think it was a gravity shift. It was not a Spitfire.
That's the ball I got, the purple one. You told me it was called that.
Yes, the ball that he won the Open with. Yes, sir.
Hey, what year was that?
Thank you, Umberto. And don't get catfished,
Don't
Ocho.
get catfish, Ocho.
I do the catfishing.
Tell Ocho I said hi. Okay.
So wait,
Nicole,
what year did he win the
Nicole says hi.
I know that. And let's say happy birthday to Nicole from 4 months ago.
Put the guns up.
Can we also, real quick now?
Real quick. What year was that he won with the gravity shift? I need to know this.
I don't know, man. It was oh God, 08, 07. I don't know. I don't remember.
I still beat people with it on League now.
Check do you have the ball nearby you? Check the serial number. I'll tell you what year it was. The first.
No, it's in the car. It's in my Lamborghini.
Shit, where was I going? What was I saying?
No idea. Don't know.
I needed to cut you off.
Come on, man. It was important. It was a big one.
It was about Nicole.
No, that was your thing with Nicole.
Your hat's crooked?
Shit, man. I had it. Never coming back. It's not coming back.
Right.
It'll be there.
Well.
It was so good, too.
You said, I just want to get in. You were talking about the gravity shift and Norm Duke and then his beard and
something about the
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said maybe I should leave the hat crooked all the time since so many people are into it.
Umberto said your hat's
that was
straight.
good?
Yeah,
Wait a second.
Hat is straight. His head is
That
crooked.
was that
Head
good?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Umberto, I love you. I won't tell any stories to refute what you just said.
Hold on. Let's think about this. He actually said...
Including the Detroit story.
Oh, shit. They got inside jokes, man.
Yeah, no, they do.
But he actually just said, oh, it was so good. It was so good.
It was. And it's gone now.
Your life is spinning out of control.
That's good.
Seems the whole world is out to get you.
Matt Anderson's in the house. What's going on, Matt?
Matty A, the legend himself, has returned.
Good friend of the show. Good to see you, buddy. Moving on to
Finally.
the clusterfuck at the Pederson Classic. Johnny set it up.
Oh. The Pederson. Everybody knows what happened at the Pederson.
Except Ocho. He doesn't know.
It's been moved.
I know the Pederson wrestling move. You grab the arm and you grab the leg and you just lean back, man. That's how you pin. You can pin.
How
a guy
much
with
time we
Pederson.
got? Because I can talk about this for an hour, and I know you have another show when we're done.
We got 20 minutes.
Roughly 10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
All right.
I was way off. I knew it started with a T.
The Pederson Classic is notorious for low scores. 8-game qualifying block. It runs for several months, and usually somewhere between 30 and 70 over wins.
Right.
What Matt Anderson just said was recently.
Hello, Wayne.
Apparently he knows about it.
It is now at a Bolero Center rather than the traditional center the Pederson has always been housed in.
Yep.
The wrong button was pushed on the oil machine at the Pederson. And a bowler led the field and shot 1901 for 8 games. Just over 300 over for 8 games.
So what's the
And
average for that for regular folk like
the leader in a prize pool that's accumulated $862 million over 30-something years that they've been doing it. The leader was plus 51. The leader. And we're in July. So just to put that into perspective, forgetting about the guy that went 300 over, there were also 7 other guys that finished higher than the tournament leader because the wrong button was pushed on the oil machine. What happened was actually the best thing that could have happened. And Bolero did step in and created a separate prize fund where those bowlers would be strategically placed where they would actually finish in the main event. And then Bolero would pay them the prize fund.
So they handicapped it basically.
They fixed it the only way that was humanly possible to fix it without getting sued. They fixed it the only way possible without losing entries for the future. They fixed it the right way. I will say.
Did they fix it by firing the idiot that hit the wrong button? I mean, Rob does it all the time and forgets to record. We didn't fire him yet.
That I don't know. I do get human error, but the human error, everybody is capable of making a mistake. That's why nobody on this planet's perfect, which is why I hate people that think that they are. But the biggest thing about that tournament was, and still is they knew in game 4 when the leader went 250, 260, 270, 230, something was wrong. And they continued the tournament and then didn't even alert the guy that they decided halfway through that qualifying block that it was null and void. And that kid that led that tournament went and entered a bowling tournament, paid his entry fee, went through the same shit that they put everybody that bowls the Pederson through. Put your balls in this room, put this wall down, open this window, oil, no oil, heavy pins, no pins, yada, yada, yada. And that kid came and did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he left the Pederson leading the tournament. And that tournament pays $25,000 first place. And that kid left that tournament thinking he was the tournament leader. And if he finishes that tournament at 1903 and he don't get $25,000, I'd have sued him.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and I think that they knew that. And that's why they took care of it so quickly. Stop the tournament, rerun the lanes, what Matt says right there. that is another thing where they very could have easily done. Because,
like you said, how do you not know after game 1 or game 2? Like,
in a tournament like that, if there's 75 people on the lane and the tournament leader over the last 2 months is averaging just over 202. Think about that. 204, sorry. No, I'm sorry, 51 pins. 8 games. 206 and a half. If the tournament leader is averaging just over 206 of the tens of thousands of bowlers that have bowled, and you get through 2 games on that tournament, and 10th place on the squad is plus 50, what Matt just said, you should have stopped the tournament. You just stopped the tournament.
Yeah.
Guys, we made a mistake. We are the Pederson. You guys all know this is a mistake. Come back. Here's some free drink tickets. Here's some free food tickets. Here's a room comp. We have to redress the lanes. The tournament's going to reconvene tomorrow. We're going to move everybody back. And the people that can't make it to their squads, we're going to reimburse them. Or they should have done damage control initially, and they didn't. I think because there was probably a million different variables that they could have been trying to figure out as to how to go about it the best way possible.
Well, it's also the first time too. Like when you're coming across the first time it's ever happened, it's like, oh, geez, what do we do? I'll liken it to motocross, where there's times where if there isn't 2 laps raced in a motocross race, and there's a major crash, they'll restart the race. It don't matter if you got the whole shot. It don't matter if you're in first place, last place. They'll restart, and everybody lines up at the starting grid, which is what bowling is. Everybody starts at 0. And then you go from there, and that's the only comparison I can think with a sport. I don't mean it like that. I mean like with something else that's could be comparable. I know bowling and motocross are not comparable, but they're started from scratch because they didn't get that far in where it's not that unfair to like redress, like you said.
Right. I don't know what he's saying right now. What Umberto's got on the screen right here. Everybody would answer that question differently. I don't know.
A golfer would.
I don't know. I don't know if that kid that went to the Pederson needed that $25,000 because his mom's sick. And if that were the case, no, I don't think I would say anything. If I was a rich guy and I loved bowling and I saw all these other people like choking themselves dealing with this difficult condition, I walked out there and averaged 240, maybe I would. Middle of the road, I don't know. I think anybody in their own personal situation that they're in their lives would answer that question differently. I think anybody that is a bowler that has any integrity would realize what was going on early enough. But in the heat of the moment, everybody's going to make their own decision for themselves in that moment. It's very rare to see somebody go up to the front desk and say, look, I'm leading the tournament by 150 pins after 4 games of this 8-game block. I think it's best that you cancel the tournament because this is unfair and this is not what the other, 10,000 competitors are bowling on. Doesn't happen. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So as much as I would like to believe that it's $25,000, I mean, it's some people's salary for the year. Mm-hmm. It's a very different question when you are in the heat of the moment. So I'm not going to shit on anybody that doesn't say a word in that situation because I respect it and I understand it. But in the same respect, they did realize it and they handled it properly. They did what they were supposed to do. They created a separate prize fund for the people that were on that squad. And they condensed the problem, and I just hope they don't hit the wrong button again.
What's funny about the release they put out is they said the lane machine inadvertently put out the wrong pattern. No, the fucking machine doesn't do anything. It's the asshole that pushes the button that fucked it up. So have a little bit of integrity in your press release. I thought that was kind of funny, but no, I assume
lane machine inadvertently put out the same easy pattern across the entire bowling alley.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody once at any point looked at the number of the pattern that was going out and said, "Oh fuck, this isn't the Pederson pattern." Give me a break.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Give me a break.
Yeah. It obviously should never happen again. So
totally, and I don't think it will.
Yeah.
It's one flub. it gained a lot of traction because everybody knows the Pederson is notorious for low scores.
Yeah.
They go out of their way. Like, if you have a 4-bagger at the Pederson, don't expect to throw your 5th frame for at least 15 minutes. If it's snowing outside and you're on lane 1, they're going to open the window and it's going to snow on lane 1. Like, there's a wall that you have to bend down just to see the pins.
Yeah.
Anthony Simonson's 5'5", and he has to bend down at the Pederson. Like, it's
there, you know what? There's a saying that we say when somebody does something, when something happens so grotesque that it garnishes such a response. The usual outcome is that won't happen again, and you can almost rest assured that won't happen again.
Totally. I don't think it will either.
We got about 10 minutes. Sorry. I didn't mean
I don't think it will either. That's all I was going to say.
We got about 10 minutes left. Anybody in the chat here wants to ask Johnny Petraglia any questions, fire away. Anything you want to know about Johnny or bowling, or we'll give you guys the forum for the last 10 minutes. You can ask Ocho questions too. I mean, he is a doctor. He knows a little about a lot and a lot about a little. So fire away if you guys have any questions for Mr. Petraglia. Just let us know.
I remember we were talking about. Shit. We said birthday. It's Parker Bone III's birthday.
Oh no shit!
Happy birthday, PB3.
Happy birthday, Parker. Even though you're not listening.
Isn't it Rondo's birthday today? Also,
who's Rondo?
Paget. Are you kidding me?
Ron Paget.
Oh,
Ronnie.
I talking about Rajon
Parker's
Rondo.
Coach. Rondo.
Matt Anderson wants to know: will you bowl doubles with me?
He was talking to me, Rad Rob.
That's definitely
Matt
for
was
you.
Talking to me. He was talking to me.
Matt's seen me bowl for too many years. He's
Matt, I got your back, buddy. I'll bowl with you. Don't worry.
You gonna hop on Sweep the Rack for a guest spot?
I would love to jump on Sweep the Rack, to tell you the truth. As a matter of fact, when I did see Anthony Simonson that day, I also saw Big Mike. So I didn't get a chance to see Rob Pierschat, but I did talk to Big Mike. So him and I are definitely going to hook up for a show here sometime in the near future, whatever show it's on, if not both.
How'd you bowl
on Sweep the Leg podcast?
We need to start one. There probably is one already.
Sweep the Leg, Johnny.
The Sand the Floor podcast. David, I had back-to-back tournaments where I bowled myself out of the cut due to spare shooting. And when I say that, this past tournament, 2 guys in the field of 87 were plus. I was minus 11 with 1 game to go, and when I tell you I missed every spare that I shot. 4 makeables, game 1 for 150. Then I bowled 217 with the front 5 with 2 missed 7 pins in the 7th and 9th frames. Then I bowled 208 with a 4-bagger in the middle of missing a 356 and a 247. And then the last game I missed a 7-pin and an 8-pin in the 3rd and 5th frames after opening with a double. And I missed the cut by about 15 to 20 pins. So what I've actually decided to do this week as a last-minute little tidbit is the reason I'm missing all the spares is, A, I don't shoot them very often, even when I'm practicing, and B, I'm going to put my thumb back in the ball to shoot spares just so I can go back to the killed Norm Duke release at the bottom because my speed is just very suspect when the lanes get a little bit tricky. Mm-hmm. So if there's a little too much oil in the middle, when I shoot a 7-pin, it skates. And if I touch it a little bit when the righties have pulled all the head oil out, I'm screwed and hooks by it.
So you're talking the flat, like kind of just aim your thumb at the pin kind of thing for the corner pin and let and
yes,
2-3 revs on the ball and let it just walk in.
Hello, Stephanie. She said, yes, thumb back in the ball. Holla.
Well, she's been there to watch the fuckery that is me when it comes to spare shooting. Like when I tell you, dude, I'm shooting 247s and the ball's in the gutter at the dots. Like it doesn't even make sense. It's like I've never thrown a bowling ball before.
Yeah.
Scott, I would love to. My mental game is my biggest hurdle. And for some reason, the only time my brain ever works is when I'm not bowling. So I'd be more than happy. Please feel free to send me a private message anytime you want. Umberto, Detroit was 1,000% worth it. It's one of those few memories that of all the things that I forget, I still remember that night. And I miss you terribly. And I hope you're safe and well, my friend. Not to cross podcast, but Johnny, what would you think about John Wilbur being the best bowler out of Vermont? You know, ironically, Derek, when Mike and I were talking last night, we didn't have anybody for Vermont. We didn't get there. So I didn't even think of John Wilbur last night. The same way I didn't think of Tony Rosamilia and Matt O'Grady for New Jersey's best bowlers last night. It's definitely going to be a continued topic that we have going forward, because I'm going to join that podcast on Tuesdays, at least until we're done with this stint. But that's a good one, and I'll add it to the Vermont list. Thank you.
Did I make the cut in the best in Jersey in Ochoville? All right, how about best in Ochoville?
There you go. Yeah, that's fair.
You're in you're in a different realm.
Stratosphere.
Yeah, you don't even make sense with the things we're talking about here, because you're
the
just
laws of
that
space
good.
And time don't apply.
They do not. Yeah,
we can't throw you in this mix. You're just in a different world. So
an anomaly. I understand.
You're like Randy Quaid in Kingpin without 15 frames. You just average 270 with
That's
a house.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Mike Val's in the house says Ocho.
Speaking of Mike, what's up, Mikey?
Best in North America. That's right.
He knows. He knows. Mr. Roboto knows. He knows. Everybody knows.
And then make your spares, bitch. I remember that. Oh my God. Bud, I will. There are no more excuses. You were there for one of the events that I was actually looked pretty good physically and just simply couldn't get out of my own head. So you know what? I think it's time to do that.
MYSB, make your spares, bitch. I love that. That's fantastic. Wayne Chester says, question for Johnny. I knew Terry Leong since the 70s as a friend who would do anything for you if you need his help. I miss him very much. I want to know if you ever met a nicer person.
The first time I went out to Vegas, I went out with no job, with no nothing. And I sat down with Dan Nadeau and Terry Leong at the Firehouse Subs off of 215 and Eastern Avenue. And Terry and Dan collectively gave me my first job when I came out to Vegas, and gave me a chance to, live my life there, and spawned a decade of living out there, which I am going back to sometime soon. Terry was the right kind of perfect, if that makes any sense. He was a friend through thick and thin, and he would also tell you when you were being a fucking idiot. And unfortunately, I was an idiot a bunch of times, and he always figured out a way to put me straight. And anybody that's ever met him would probably say the same thing about him. He's one of the best men I have ever known, and miss you, Terry. Thanks for that, Wayne.
Great way to wrap it up here. Guys, another great show. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at JPJR07 for Johnny, at the DR Ocho for Dr. Ocho, and at Rad Rob Gaming for myself. You can also follow the show on Twitter at StraightUp5POD. That's the number 5, Ocho. You were going to ask me, I just figured I would say it anyway. So thanks for selling that, pal. Way to hang me out there on a fucking ledge, you jackass.
Thanks.
Funk.
We don't ever promote the other shows on this network, but if you want to see more of us, we are also on another show, a 80s and 90s retro show, which we got to get Mike.
80s.
We got to get Mike Val on because he was supposed to be part of the show as well. So we got to hook that up. But it is a retro show that we do. It drops every Friday morning at 7 a.m. Central, 8 Eastern. It's called RTW Rewind. You can find it on any podcast platform, literally anywhere podcasts are found. Ocho, did you find any podcasts this week?
None at all. I couldn't. I thought they were going to be in a string pin bowling alley, but there weren't any. I guess it was like just too bush league for that.
That's fair.
Way too.
No, that's fair. Guys, we hope you enjoy the show. Thanks again for listening and watching here on YouTube and Johnny's Facebook page. Again, subscribe to our Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We don't have a Facebook.
You can't subscribe to our Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. We certainly appreciate it. We'll be back next week for another edition. Thank you very much for your support, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Straight Up 5. If you would like to send your questions into Johnny Jr., send us an email at straightup5@gmail.com. That's straight up FIVE@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.